lay down your weapons.
Better idea. You lie down and die.
First things first. My pets are ready to play. Are you?
Hey everybody, it's Ricardo, and I'm here with Daniel Erickson, lead writer from BioWare Austin on Star Wars The Old Republic. Now Daniel, you guys have been talking about a lot of different features and different little surprises that you guys have been packing in the game, but you guys announced something today that you're showing off at E3, so tell us what that is.
So the big announcement was raids. Everybody knew they were coming, and they were like, what do the raids look like? What do the raids look like? So, unsurprisingly, our raids are big story moments. They're very contextual, they're very cool. They're multi-party, they're everything you'd expect from a raid, but we really wanted them to be something that had a real place in the galaxy. The one we showed off today was the Eternity Vault. It takes place on Belsavis. You get to go explore some real ancient sort of Star Wars history. The Republic and the Empire go in there for very different reasons, but everybody gets to go and, have their big fights and the big complicated pieces that everyone's excited about for endgame content.
Now, one of the big pillars of this game is the narrative, and as the lead writer, I'm sure you're kind of biased. So how are you balancing out having your narrative happen, telling that story, while making sure that your players are engaged? Because fully voiced with all kinds of text tends to be kind of a downer for people that just want to get in and stab.
Well, if you want to run through it and not, pay any attention to the story, you can do that. And I know that we've always had our space bars. We always have and always will. A lot of people will tell me, they played Baldur's Gate 5 times all the way through, and I'm like, wow, what do you think about this? And they're like, oh, no, I never listen to anybody talk. Totally acceptable form of the segment. They make me cry, obviously. We tend to convert a lot of people. One of the biggest ones we've heard during testing is people who tell us, I didn't care about story, I didn't want story in my MMO, and now I really listen to the story. You've actually got to hear a lot, even the critics out there, people talking about sort of getting their testimonials and saying, even if they're kind of making fun of the story, anytime somebody's telling you, well, then I was talking to this guy, and he told me because what I had done, I had to go back and talk to this other guy, guess what? You're paying attention. Right? We won.
Now, as lead writer, you're just one of, I would say, a beefy team of people. Give us a sense of how many people are locked in a room right now on a typewriter.
Well, not as many people right now, because obviously the writing has to get done first. But we tend to average around a dozen. It has been up to around 16 at times where we needed a whole lot of hands on board. We have gone up and stolen people sometimes from Edmonton, and had to be forgiven. Sometimes we've needed, hey, Dragon Age, can I just take your stars for a little while? Drew Karpyshyn came down about mid-project, who is the lead writer of the original Knights of the Old Republic and the lead writer of the first Mass Effect, so big win, right? He came in and he was great for saying, hey, the KOTOR storylines, let's make sure you're authenticating this stuff so the fans can't get mad at us because it's your story to begin with. So the more we can do to keep the correlation between those games and to not just answer the questions from there, but keep that same spirit and feel so everybody gets that KOTOR experience they wanted, well, the MMO folks and the people who, are coming into the social space get a real MMO.
And how are you balancing sort of making the game accessible? I mean, it's got to appeal to a lot of people, right? So you've got Star Wars fans who maybe aren't necessarily super into MMO, hardcore RPG stuff, and then you've got folks that maybe are and are looking for a change of pace. So where's that sweet spot for you guys?
One of the nice things is that story really is a universal piece. Yes, there are a few people who are like, man, I hate story. But, really? They don't watch TV or anything? It's hard. I mean, maybe it's just reality shows. I don't know. But it's a small group. People who are Star Wars fans more than game fans are obviously already story people, right? They weren't playing Star Wars. They were watching it. And when you come in and you get connected to a character and you get connected to your dialogue and what's going on, it's easier to ease you into the more complicated world of an RPG or the even more complicated world of an MMO. Because you already have some buy-in, you have some ownership, and you feel empowered. The early stages of an MMO can make you feel really lost and really weak if you're just wandering around trying to figure out why you keep getting your butt kicked by a snake.
Now, you guys have said it's shipping soonish, and you revealed a lot. Raids, I think, is another big chunk. We know it's coming this year at some point, probably, right? So are there any other hidden gems that people should be looking out for, or do we finally have an idea of everything that Tor is going to offer?
marketing will absolutely never let us tell everything, right? They've always got to have something else for the next show, for the next piece, even for the next week, because we do weekly updates on the site. So no, there are actually some big systems that are still sitting out there that we've wanted to talk about. Some big stuff that affects story even, and some big combat stuff that is very exciting and still in the wings.
All right, well, thank you, sir. We'll be keeping an eye on it, and hopefully we'll get into the beta at some point. And until then, check back on the site for more.